Let's go, girls.
Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe.
Let's go! It is Women Talking Football. We are the Women, a pair of producers for Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Dave Campbell's Texan Live. Not to be confused with WFT, by the way. Let's not get out of order here. My name is Ashley Pickle. I am the executive producer for Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Dave Campbell's Texan Live. On the virtual screen here, it is our associate producer, Miss Mallory Hartley. I'm not going to lie. I watched through the video screen of me start rolling the intro and you jump and remove your headphone.
I didn't know if you could see me or not, so I don't really know how this thing works. I only know how to do it from your side because we've done it with Republic of Football a couple times, and so I wasn't sure if the sound was going to come through my headphones or through my computer, so I turned the volume on my computer up like all the way because I was like, just in case I want to be ready, and then it just took me out.
Let's go, girls!
Oh my God, that's a good way to start the show, I guess. Now I've got some adrenaline going, but I'm glad to be here.
And I was like, I wonder if this is going to be really loud in her ears. So I played it and I'm looking and I can't tell you, hey, heads up, it's coming. And so I just watch her go.
That was fun. I love it. Let's do it again.
It was great. All right. Episode 25. So today's going to look a little bit different. Obviously, we've been stuck in the ice storm. I was able to make it into work today. Mm-hmm. The road that you have to take to get here is still ice over and not safe. So we are keeping you safe and in the confines of your wonderful living quarters.
Yeah, I was really hoping by at least 12 or 12:30 that the roads out here would be, okay to drive on. And so I went out there at about 12:30 and I was like, okay, they're kind of melting a little bit. But my main concern is that I have to take a couple of overpasses on the highways to get to work. It takes me about 30 minutes to get to work, so I'm not super close to the office. And so my main concern was those overpasses and those bridges still being super icy because we all saw those videos on social media of the semi trucks rolling backwards and stuff like that. So I was a little freaked out to come into the office today, but nonetheless, the show must go on.
We make it work. We make it work. And I was going to say, I've heard a lot of people say most of the highways seem fine, but it's all the little back streets. Trying to get out of neighborhoods right now is still what's been so hard for people.
We still have in the back patio. I mean, our whole patio is still frozen over with a sheet of ice. And so it's the streets look okay, but obviously that's not driven on at all. And so I don't know if the streets out there are any different than that. But yeah, it was a little scary.
Yeah, well, I sent you a video the other day from one of my windows. I can see quite a few different overpasses. And I don't even know what day it was. Tuesday, maybe, when stuff started to get... Maybe it was Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday when stuff was really bad.
Really happening, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was with
there's a really high overpass that I can see that it was an 18-wheeler. It wasn't the full, it didn't have the whole backside on it. It was just the little stumpy part of the 18-wheeler, which I always think is so funny because I always just look it looks top heavy. I always just feel like they're gonna cow tipping, I guess. But
yes, that's what I was thinking of.
It literally started you could tell it was trying to brake. And there was no one in front of it, and it had its flashers on, but it was just sliding down the overpass. And I was like, I'm just watching this happen.
Man, that overpass is terrifying. There is always something going on there because on my way home from work on Monday, before any of this started happening, I got stuck in 20-minute good traffic jam, and a semi truck had slidden off the ramp a little bit. And so there was a little crash. Ambulance came and a fire truck came, and I was like, man, this is even right before the storm hit really bad on Wednesday. So I was like, man, I guess we're probably really in for it if we're already getting trucks crashed into each other and stuck on the roads.
Yeah, it's been wild up here. I know it's been wild really across the entire state, but we're making it work.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed, if the weather holds dear, we should be set for next weekend. And I'll get to that in a second. Mallory's going to stay on and talk with us about this first segment, about what we'll be doing next weekend. It's a big weekend for Women Talking Football. We're super excited. But in the back half of the show, Mallory's going to go ahead, shoo on out, go on get.
You don't want me here, I get it.
Go
You want it to be one man talking football.
Whoa, singular woman talking football. But we will be welcoming in the queen of Mount Pleasant, Texas, and that is Mrs. Coach Cluley. We call her Miss Coach Cluley because that's what her name is on Twitter, and I just feel like there's no other proper way to address her. So we are so incredibly excited to hear from her. We're going to try and get her to spill some beans on, like, sweet things that Coach Cluley does. Like, you know, coaches are like, you're manly men, you know, like, they got to have a sweet side somewhere.
I know. I think one of my favorite questions to ask coaches' wives or, you know, the spouse, the coach, whatever, is do they have that coaching switch? You know, are they on the sidelines, you know, just grinding into their guys and, you know, really, really amped up? Do they turn that off at home, or are they like super lovey-dovey, relaxed, complete 180 from how they are on the sidelines? So that's one of my favorite questions to ask coaches'
Yeah, is it
wives.
like waking up on like a Sunday morning and it's like bacon, eggs, potatoes, let's go, you know? Like,
double time.
no, okay, your placement of the breakfast burrito stuff in the tortilla, not good. We've got to rework it. We're watching film, you know, like, is that what it's like?
Honey, you need to quarterback this. I got to step out here in a second.
You're playing like wide receiver number 2. Come on, we really need some production out of you. Anyway, we'll get to that with Mrs. Coach Cluley in the back half of this. So at the show, sorry, I can hear myself talking. There's a reverb, so excuse me. But where are we going next week?
We are going to Fredericksburg.
Let's go.
We are going to the Hill Country Coaching Clinic, and it was great to actually get to go there, right? But the fact that we get to do Women Talking Football live from the Hill Country Coaching Clinic is so special, because this is it's a really cool coaching clinic, because I feel like when you think about coaching clinics, you know, there's going to be a ton of coaches there, and they're probably, you know, they're not going to bring their wives, they're not going to bring their kids. But this one specifically encourages coaches to bring their wives, because it's Fredericksburg. I mean, who doesn't want to go to Fredericksburg? And so we're going to get to talk to a lot of coaches' wives and stuff like that when we're down there. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited, because I've never been to Fredericksburg anyway. So the fact that this is like a work trip too, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so like Mallory alluded to, I think everyone knows that we are going to be in attendance at the Hill Country Coaching Clinic, but we've actually been working with all the great people, including Lance Moffitt, the clinic director, Clay Bode, Miss Diane Bode, and we are going to be doing this show live from down there at the inn at Barron's Creek at the coaching clinic portion of it. So we are so excited. They had invited us down because we had talked to some of the wives. We really love the Texas High School Coaches Wives Association. I have to think about that. But the Wives Association, do what?
I said, it's a tongue twister. You got to really think about it.
Well, as we always say, THSCA, and then it's like, you got to remember where the W fits in there.
Yep.
So we met a lot of those ladies at the coaching school last year in July, and we had talked with some of them, and they were like, hey, y'all need to come to the Hill Country Coaching Clinic because it's in Fredericksburg. The wives are so highly encouraged to be able to come out there. They have a whole, Miss Diane is the director of all of the wives activities. So they actually do a ton of different wives activities. We're going to have our show live Friday, February 10th at 2 o'clock p.m. So usually we do the show every Thursday. We will not be doing it Thursday because we will be doing it live from down there on Friday at 2 o'clock p.m. So same time, just a day pushed back later. But we have a ton of really awesome guests lined up for you with Coach Moffitt himself, the guy that puts it all on. Miss Diane will be coming on to tell you all about what the wives can do while they're down there. There's a meet and greet that you and I will be going to. They're drinking wine. They're going shopping. They're doing all this stuff that the coaches love to see because they sacrifice so much as wives and moms and all that stuff throughout the year. This is kind of like their way of saying, hey, it's another coaching thing, but you're going to have fun too.
Right. And there's going to be a ton of really cool guest speakers there too as well, not only in the high school ranks but in the college ranks as well, like David Wetzel from Baylor, Keith Patterson from Abilene Christian, Mark Soto from Conference Judson High School. I mean, there's just an array of different kinds of coaches. They're going to be guest speakers at this coaching clinic. So it sounds like a really well-rounded event to me.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I threw this up here. This is the Friday. So here is where you can watch the show, which is if you're watching right now, that's exactly where it is. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter will be live 2 o'clock p.m. February the 10th. But if you take a look at this, here's the actual Friday agenda for the coaching clinic. I believe you can still sign up for the coaching clinic even today. So go ahead, and if you were a coach or a coach's wife listening to this and you want to get down to Fredericksburg and hang out with us next week, you can. But for Friday, you've got Drew Sanders from Vandergrift, Anthony Boykin from Stevens, Michael Troutman, which if you want someone who can convince you to run through a brick wall, go listen to Coach Troutman speak, because you will feel like you just took 800 gallons of pre-workout after you get out of that thing. Like Mallory mentioned there's also college coaches, Coach Wetzel from Baylor, and then dinner. There's a ton of really good dinner places to eat in Fredericksburg. I am from Llano, the town literally right next to it, so I'm incredibly excited to show Mallory kind of around my hometown area. And then there's a couples social that night. So for the wives on the other side of it, as soon as we get done with the show, Mallory and I are headed over to the wives meet and greet. So any of you wives listening, if you're going to be there, please stop by and say hi. We would love to see you. And then here we go for the Saturday agenda. There's a couples outreach devotional in the morning. Stephen Hamby from Tech will be there. Bill Howard from Wiley High School. He's retired now, but he can kind of tell you a little bit about that. Coach Soto, another guy who will make you want to run through a brick wall for him. John Kay, the one of just a legendary head coach in recent years here for us. Keith Patterson from ACU. Then there is a coach and coach's wife seminar that you can go to, and then date night at the Pioneer Bar, which is where I told Mallory yesterday on Twitter what she doesn't realize is that she signed up to be my date. And we're going to go
Dude, I've done more booting and scooting with you in the past 3 weeks than I have in my entire life.
It's working.
I'm so glad I ended up buying those white cowboy boots because, man, I've done so much cowgirl stuff in the past couple weeks. So I'm prepared. I am prepared for the booting and scooting on Saturday night.
I've got my cord stuck on, this is stuff that goes on behind the scenes in the producer chair that usually y'all can't see. My cord gets stuck underneath the rolly chair. But no,
you're on camera the whole time now.
Yeah, we are so incredibly excited and thankful for the Hill Country Coaching Clinic and everyone for inviting us out to this. We're going to be there all weekend, participating in the different wives stuff, talking to coaches. But the big thing is Friday, February 10th at 2 o'clock p.m., our first ever live episode, live remote is probably the better way to say that, live remote episode of Women Talking Football. From Fredericksburg, from the Hill Country Coaching Clinic, any of the coaches that are going, the wives, we are so excited to see y'all and hang out with y'all. But, 2 p.m. next Friday. I am amped.
I am really excited. And I remember when we had discussed this as a possible thing that we could do, is it possible to do Women Talking Football live? Is it possible to do these shows live from somewhere else? And us being the producer-minded people that we are and that we're around this stuff all the time, it's going to be easy for us to set up in one of these clinics and do this show live from there. So really excited that we're going to be able to do that because this is going to be probably one of the best episodes that we could do, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think everyone's just going to be
Go ahead.
I was just gonna. I think everybody's just gonna be in such a good mood anyway. Everyone's gonna be just so amped and stuff, and we're gonna have them on the show, and it's gonna have a good little aurora to it, I think.
Yeah. We'll have some wives on the show. We'll have some coaches on the show. We're still kind of nailing down. We have most of the lineup set, but we're waiting on a couple coaches. Obviously, with the ice storm, people haven't been in the office any, so it's been a little bit hard. But no, we're nailing down who we're gonna have on. But yeah, 2 p.m. next Friday, the 10th, live from the Hill Country Coaching Clinic. We are amped up and excited, and a huge thank you already to Coach Moffitt, Miss Diane, Coach Clay, all of them for helping and getting this set up for us. So Hill Country,
yeah, man, seriously,
WTF, heading your way.
Seriously, and whoever runs the Hill Country Coaching Clinic Twitter page is awesome. Like, they're always atting us and saying, you know, oh, we're super excited for you to come down there, and we're excited to see you guys. And so, yeah, just really big shout out to them. I mean, it's gonna be so awesome, and one of our best shows yet. I'm convinced of it already.
Oh yeah, episode 26, best one yet, coming up next Friday.
Marking it right now.
Mark your
not going back
calendars.
on that.
All right. Well, she is Mallory Hartley. She is juiced up to head down to Fredericksburg next week. We'll be reminding you throughout the week. But Mal, stay safe. Don't break any bones. Stay warm. Good to see you, pal.
It's good to see you. I will be back on Monday in the office. Don't worry.
Let's go.
Hopefully in one piece.
Fingers crossed. And there she goes, Mallory Hartley. We are Women Talking Football. We're here every Thursday at 2. Other than next week, we will be here on Friday at 2 p.m. live from the Hill Country Coaching Clinic. So super excited about that and appreciate Mallory making it through the elements of this crazy ice storm. Unfortunately, y'all are stuck with me the rest of the time. That being said, though, we are about to be joined by the Queen of Mount Pleasant. It's Miss Coach Cluley coming on the line here in just a second after we hear from our wonderful friends at VCR Now. Born and bred in Texas hits a little different, as it should. Texas loves doing business with fellow Texans. VCR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and universities around the state. It's also why we're so proud to promote our brand in the pages of the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and on the airwaves of Texas Football Today. Driven by producing quality broadcast video, state-of-the-art audio, and LED video scoreboards at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs in its athletic department before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is our business, and it's our focus on building meaningful long-term partnerships with our clients that sets us apart. From our 24/7, 365-day help desk, the training lab in our hometown of Red Oak, or our sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of our athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. Reach out to us today at info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Again, that's info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. All right. I appreciate our friends at VCR Now. Now, we've got a real special treat for you. So I told y'all, unfortunately, you're stuck with me and not Mallory for the rest of the time, but I have good news. It's not just me alone. We're going to go to the hotline and welcome in, as we've been calling her, the Queen of Mount Pleasant. We welcome in Miss Coach Cluley. Courtney, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks so much for taking the time to hop on with us. We know that Coach Cluley loves to hype up the fact that you're a fan of WTF, and we really appreciate that. So we were like, we got to have her on the show.
I do. I feel like there's nothing else like it out there. So it's nice.
So we're going to start off with, for anybody listening out there that maybe not from Mount Pleasant or you haven't crossed paths with, tell us, you're obviously married to Coach Cluley out there at Mount Pleasant, but tell us a little bit about yourself and your family, and we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so I grew up in East Texas, so I'm back home. I grew up in Troop. I went to school in Tyler. It's where Joey and I met at TK Gorman in high school. And then went to A&M, got married, and have just been, traveling the state the last 16 years with Joey and, just traveling along, kind of being his ride or die. So
I love that. And I was going to say, so y'all are fresh off of year one there in Mount Pleasant. And we
yes.
knew, I mean, coming from a very successful stint at Lubbock Estacado before then, when we heard the news that y'all were getting to go back into East Texas, go back home, that has to be really special because, like you mentioned, it's not just that you were following Coach Cluley back home. You're also getting to go back home yourself. How special has that been for y'all?
It's been pretty amazing. I hadn't lived this close to home in like 20 years. So that was a huge draw for me, obviously, selfishly. And my kids, my mom's about an hour and a half away. So that's been really awesome. And then we got the surprise of a lifetime with having another baby. And so, I think everything kind of happens for a reason. And I think coming home was definitely like a huge catalyst and kind of, wanting to expand our family a little bit. And so, it's been really, really special.
What is I know the community, anywhere that you go in Beast, Texas, as they call it, I mean, they're football crazy people, but they back their programs. They're incredibly supportive. What does the community mean in Mount Pleasant to your family as a whole?
It's been pretty neat. Joey's dream has always been to be at a school, like a one-town team kind of situation. And I really hadn't experienced it. We'd done it once when we were in Lago Vista. We were there our first 4 years. And it was so cool. We made it to the state semis there. So you can imagine like how all that excitement. And then now that we've been here, it's been so nice. Like when we have games that are away or a little too far, the district will, let us leave early. And, that's just unbelievable and so fun. And so it really is cool that every school in the district is like pulling for the Tigers. We're not split up between the different high schools. And that has been like a really fun process for our kids to be involved in. It's been, and the people are just so nice. And it's been nice to have, trees and lakes and water and then just all the support on top of it. So.
No doubt. No, and it's funny that you bring that up about the, being a one-horse town because that's how I grew up. But growing up in Llano, there was only one high school, and so everybody got about that. And that's what's so funny is I talked to Mallory about that, who went to Arlington. There's hundreds of Arlington schools, it seems like. And so it's funny to talk about the difference, but it really, really is cool when you are in that one-horse
There's nothing
town.
like it.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's really hard to replicate that. Even in, Lubbock ISD, where we had so much support and loved the whole environment, you're split between 4 high schools. So it was just, my kids didn't go to the school that was zoned to Estacado. So they didn't really get to join in and kind of a lot of the celebration stuff. But here, it's so fun. The whole, like, it's cute that my daughter is in kindergarten and then the kids, like, in her class will be like, oh, you're Coach Cluley. And, like, they get excited when he's in the building. And, that kind of stuff's been really fun.
That is awesome. And from, from a football perspective, I know that you are a wife that is all into the X's and O's. They're coming off of year one where you're evaluating your husband's work here. How are you feeling about the Tigers?
He, for better or for worse, right? I'm his toughest critic probably, but no, it's gone well. I think we're excited to have spring football this year. And I think last year at this time, we only had maybe one coach, Coach Lickey, our defensive coordinator, had come with us like at this point in the game. And so this year it's so nice to have everyone here. And like their off season is going and spring football start next month and just a lot of or I think April. But all the kind of the keys are in place, hopefully to kind of improve. And obviously we want to, I want to win 16 games a year, obviously, but I think there's so much room for growth and the kids are just so bought in and they're just so fun to be around. And so we're really excited for next year.
Well, we're excited to watch what y'all do out there. All right. So you mentioned it earlier. You've got 2 beautiful little girls and you got a third one on the way. We keep telling Cluley that he's going to have a starting 5 here soon, which is fantastic. But I think that a lot of, there's a lot of coaches' wives that listen to this show. And I think that when you're put in that situation of, hey, you take over basically the whole household when football season rolls around. You got 3 little ones running around, 2 and a soon to be 1. What are the keys to making that work? Because it's no way in the world it's easy.
No, it's not easy, but it's fun. And I think the only for our family, the only thing that works, I learned a long time ago to embrace it or resent it. And I just bought in because I wanted my kids to obviously be around Joey. And we were together for 5 years and then married for 5 years before we had kids. So, I had that experience. I knew how special it could be to just be really involved, and that whether that's like serving breakfast or being on every booster club or, just whatever it was, I wanted to be a part of it. Otherwise, I would be sitting at home like all by myself, and I just wasn't going to do that. And now my kids get to see, the impact that Joey gets to make on kids, and not only like football wise, and of course, getting offers and all the stuff that comes with that is wonderful, but all the life lessons that he teaches and all that we get to be a part of, and they get to see it, so that's been really special. But I couldn't do it without all of our other coaches' wives on our staff. They're awesome.
I was just going to say, it seems like y'all have a really good group of ladies out there, and I think that I'm sure that there's a sense of community there, because I feel like when it comes to being a coach's wife, that's something special. What would you say has been your favorite part of being a coach's wife, regardless of what crazy part of the state y'all were in?
Yeah. Well, my friend of ours is the head coach at Ryder in Wichita Falls, and his wife, I think he became a head coach maybe 2 years before Joey. And she told me once that no one in the stands is going to feel exactly how you feel except the other head coach's wife, right? Because that perspective is so unique. And she was right. Like every stage has something to learn from Joey being a freshman coach to, whatever, a DC, a D-line, whatever that the case has been. But you just really learn to, your circle is kind of small, but you just really lean on each other. And I was laughing about like, what do you need for a game? You need cash for the concession stand. You need a million different outfits because it's going to be cold or hot, no matter what, month of the year it is. And you need other coaches' wives to like handle one of your children while you go to the bathroom. So like you really, really lean on each other. Especially when you've been together for a long time. Like the Lakeys have been with us for like 10 years. So that's been really fun to like watch our families we have had no kids to now we'll have 6 between the two of us. So that's been fun.
A whole little pack of tigers there.
Yes.
And so that's the other thing. When you're going to these games, I always love to ask, because some coaches are very quiet and reserved on the sideline. Other coaches are slamming clipboards and screaming their heads off. If you had to describe Coach Cluley's demeanor when he's on the sideline, how would you describe that?
Well, if you know him, and you've been around him enough now to like, if you know him outside of football, he's a pretty laid back. Like, I always joke that he could be a hermit and like be hunting in the woods and be totally happy. But the flip side is like he's this unbelievably like great speaker and really outgoing. And but on the sideline, he's kind of a psycho in the best way possible. He is super excited, and it's fun to watch him like deal with the refs now because. For, I don't know, the first 10 years, like that was someone else's job. And now I love to watch how he interacts with them. But he's really positive usually. It's funny when he like jumps up and then, maybe it's a lot harder coming down now at 38 than it was at like 22. But it's fun to watch it for sure.
You hear that, Coach Cluley? We got to work on that vertical. Well, and this is another question in that same kind of vein, and I didn't prep you for this one, so we're going on the fly here. But
okay.
We're always interested to know when there are some people, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a fan, whether you're a coach, whoever, that if your team loses, some people completely shut down for the rest of the night. Other people are able to kind of turn it off when they get home. How is that with y'all's whole dynamic? Are you the one that goes home and gives him an earful about what he did wrong, or how are we working here?
Well, it depends if it's an away game or a home game. So if there's a home game, we have an after party for all of our coaches and families of every home game. So, but that's a good chance for them to just kind of get it out of their system, right? They'll put some film up, or we'll watch like the Friday night sports stuff. But really they just kind of talk it out. Those are always more fun when you win, obviously. Yes. But the losses, usually someone's uploading the film as they're driving, and then he's watching it, and I'm texting him being like, what was this call? Can you believe this happened? I'm sure I should stop that eventually, but like I want to know his perspective all the time. But to me, Saturday evenings are the best because then he's really watched it, like 12 times, and we can really talk through like what happened. And for better or for worse, I eventually will like lay off, but I got to know, especially the bad calls, I'm like a psycho. So I want to know, was it really pass interference, or did he really score? Did he really run out of bounds? All those things. So.
See, this
Yeah.
checks out because your Canadian Kit Kat dealer, Mr.
Oh my
Matt
gosh.
Stepp, I know he was lucky enough to get to sit next to you during a Mount Pleasant game, and he was like, "Pickle, you have to experience this because she's off the charts. Like, she's the coach of this team."
I'm a psycho. I always joke my blood pressure. Like, I should probably take I should be medicated a little bit for those games, but. You just know how hard they work and how much practice has gone into it and all the worry. And then, the backstory of like, so-and-so, his family went through this week, or so-and-so's grades were, we were worried about. And so all that plays into like every down, and you just want them to succeed, obviously, because they've worked so hard for it. So.
All right, we'll get you going on an ender here. We at Women Talking Football, our main goal is to be able to embarrass these coaches whenever we possibly can. I think they recognize that. It's a mutual agreement. And so we need some fuel for all the other coaches on the Mount Pleasant staff to be able to give Joey a hard time. What is the sweetest thing that Coach Cluley has ever done for you?
Oh, gosh. I was thinking about that question earlier. I think the biggest one is that I went to college and I thought I never want to stay home. I always want to work. I've worked so hard to, get a degree and blah, blah, blah. I want to be this. Well, when we moved to Lubbock, I decided I wanted to stay home, and he was like so supportive of it. He was like, absolutely, we'll make it work. Financially, obviously it was a huge transition, but it was so fun. And I didn't realize how much I was missing. And then I got 5 years of it. That's and then awesome. When I was kind of like, okay, I'm ready to, go back to work, and I got my real estate license. So he supported me through that. And then it's worked out so well to be a coach's wife who's moved and then been able to help all of their other wives move, So that to me was like an amazing, like sacrificial thing that he's done.
That is awesome. That is we can't make fun of him for that. Good guy, Coach Cluley. Well, she is Mrs. Coach Cluley. That's the only thing we're ever going to address her by, because it's a fantastic Twitter handle, a lover of Canadian Kit Kats, and a great mom to some beautiful little girls. Congratulations again on the third one. We look forward to meeting her. And hey, best of luck next season. Go get them.
Thanks so much.
Perfect.
We'll see you soon. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. There she goes. Mrs. Coach Cluley, the queen of Mount Pleasant. We absolutely appreciate her taking the time to join us. We've gotten to know Coach Cluley very well throughout the years here at Dave Campbell's. A stand-up guy, one of our favorite coaches, and Mrs. Coach Cluley is a huge reason for that. So we hope that you enjoyed that interview with Miss Coach Cluley. Like I said, that's her Twitter handle, so there's just no way that we're calling her anything else, because that's just fantastic. So we appreciate her time. And yeah, so that'll do it for us. A reminder, I'm going to throw this one back up here again. Next week, fun. If you missed the first part of the show, Women Talking Football going live from Fredericksburg, Texas. Home of the Hill Country Coaching Clinic. Will be out there, and we will have WTF Live February 10th. That is a Friday. We're moving from Thursday to Friday at 2 p.m. We have a superstar lineup of guests coming out there. If you are going to the coaching clinic, if you are a coach's wife going to the clinic, go ahead and reach out to us. We'll be there at the wife's meet and greet and hanging out with them the whole time. So we're super excited for that. But yeah, that's going to do it for us. Thanks again for listening. Thank you to our guest, Miss Coach Cluley, for her time, and we will see you next Friday at 2 o'clock p.m. live from the Hill Country Coaching Clinic.